Hi, everyone. Some technical difficulties, and we got it sorted out, I think. Welcome to How to Get There. This is a spin-off podcast from the Where Are They Now podcast that Elias and I usually do. Today, we have Richard Basler from Mobile Electronics Association
Hey,
sitting in with
Brian.
us. How you doing?
Big shoes to fill today.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of tech support, and I think we're back up and running here. So
Yep.
hopefully that works out for us. We are very excited to have a couple of guests here live in the MEA booth tonight with us. The first of those is Mr. John Schwartz from Sound Shield and from the Perfectionist in Alaska.
Perfectionist Auto Sounds.
Perfectionist Auto Sound. Yes, sir.
And security, if we're going to get technical.
Yes.
Okay. You don't do any security.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Couple here and there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us, John.
No, definitely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start this over and ask you the question that I was asking before. You guys have won several awards in varying categories, retailer, sales pro twice, retailer twice, best online presence. You've had a rookie of the year and you've had a top 12 installer. I think that's all of it, right?
I think so, yeah.
Pretty sure. So, we see this a lot of times, or we talk about people a lot of times getting into the awards or wanting to get into the awards, but they're afraid to throw their name in the hat or whatever the case may be. So with a team like you guys have, where you've had so many people that have competed before, do those new people that want to compete, is it something that they struggle with, or is it just such a environment now where it's kind of like they just want to do it? It's not like again, it's not required, but it's there's more incentive to want to be another member of the team that's been there.
Part of the culture.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the way we have our environment at the shop is something where we have all the awards on the walls and all the things, and there's a lot of heritage at the shop, So when you come into Perfections, most people are pretty intimidated, and they, kind of feel like, oh man, it's a lot of pressure. But then after a week, then they kind of settle in because we're just 12 old guys, we're having fun, we're talking crap, and all these type of things, and then but something, with being connected with CompuStar, Perfectionist, all these type of things, Sound Shield, it's like, I feel like they realize they're at an elevated place. And my job as the owner or, the leader is to have an environment where they can grow, and I feel like nothing is unattainable, right? So a lot of times, a lot of business owners, the mindset is everyone's replaceable. But in my shop, I tell people, your job is to make yourself irreplaceable. Like, you have all the access to the tools, you have access to information, all this stuff. And we're lucky we work on all kind of cars. We have all these things that we can do. And so I think that in itself creates it to where it's so positive.
Okay.
So there's no negative side of that. And then, every shirt that we have for Perfections has 2-time retailer of the year on it. So the nice thing about that is this constant reminder, because I take so much pride in that. That was a huge award for us to win, especially winning it twice,
Right.
So I feel like, my job is anytime someone is not up to 100% or, 95%, we literally say, man, are you being a retailer of the year right now? Are you doing this right now? Because, being in Alaska, which was crazy for us to, be involved because we're so far away. I think that, we get a lot of tours up there, and a lot of times there's 12 old guys, and we're a destination to stop at. So I'm like, you never know who's going to walk in the shop. Are we being a retailer of the year right now? We got to represent these guys, and so I think that the culture that they're in, and the level that we ask of our guys, and hey, we got to redo that, or that doesn't look right, or let's do it this way, or whatever. I think that it just kind of gets beat into you, and then if they're not meant to be there, they'll filter themselves out because the standard's high.
Sure.
Yeah, it's ingrained into the people that have been there for a long time with you. Aaron being there for 10 plus years now. And so once you're around that for that kind of period of time, it's hard to deviate from being that kind of success that you demand and expect from your people. And out of yourself.
Yeah. I work hard and I encourage it. And, like, September 1st is kind of a big day for me because it's my 24th anniversary of Perfections, but it's my 30th.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. And then it's my 33rd anniversary in the industry,
Wow.
So it's something to where like I still work in the Bay, like I love it. So sometimes, Aaron will decide to bring in some crazy project, and then they're like, I don't think we should do it. And I'm like, yeah, we could do it. Let's do it. Like, all right, John, it's your project. I'm like, I'll do it. I don't care. I mean, then I hate myself and regret it afterwards, but I do it. And then my guys are just like, man, that's cool, man. That's cool. You still get in here and wrench, and and I love it. I love getting all cut up and beat up. So I think for us to, some big multi-store shops, it's hard for them to get into Bay type of thing. But I think anybody that has a single store, like, you can't inspire without being inspiring, and I was talking to a local business owner the other day, and he was, I love my watches, and he got a new Rolex, but he said, man, I only wear it on the weekend. I never wear it to work. I don't want my guys to see it. And I thought, wow, man, you shouldn't think like that. Like if your team doesn't celebrate with you, then maybe you're not taking care of your employees the right way. Like when I got one of my cars, my guys were celebrating with me. It was so cool, and so I think, there's so many things that we can do as the owner, that level that we have to think about our team, because if without the team, there's no shop, right? Without the community, there's no shop.
Yeah, I like the way that you talk about that, because we've seen so many times where you get a business owner and he's competing for his own award, where a lot of the guys nowadays, when you talk to them that own a shop, it's not for them. The award's not for the owner of the shop. The award is for the team. And I really like that that's kind of become the mentality more and more.
Yeah, it has to be, man. It has to be, because, what's team stand for, right? Together, everyone achieves more.
Right.
And I love that. And I learned that a while ago. And I think that, for that sense of pride, right? So up in Alaska, like, we have like every city, you have like your best of the city, so there's a big one called Best of Alaska. And to me, that's a big one, because that's people's choice. That's our community voting for us. And,
right.
And we've won pretty much like every year for maybe the last 15 years or something. But every time, man, it's like the team gets together and we're like, high five, and we order, go out to dinner and we celebrate, because it's, it's us, and we don't push it. We post it one time and we just let it ride. Whatever happens, and
right.
So, and then retailer of the year being that huge thing, in our industry, it's, we don't have much in the industry, right? So that's such a big deal for me, and I love seeing all the past retailers of the year win. And I mean, I'm yelling and screaming with them, because I talk to a lot of them, and it's just, I feel like some people don't take it serious, but I feel like, man, you don't know what it feels like to walk across the stage, and it's so incredible. And most of the guys are like shaking, and you can't breathe. So it's
it's funny that you mentioned that, because today, in my memories, the day that I got Trusted Tech came up, and I remember sitting there, and Carlos and I were on the list. There was 3 of us on the list, and I knew Carlos. I didn't know the other guy from Tunes and Tint, but I knew Carlos, and I was sure Carlos was going to win. And then Solomon called my name, and I'm sitting there, and Carlos is literally like, dude. And I was like, what? Oh. And I walked up there. I didn't know what to say. You think all the time, I got this. And you get up there and you're looking at this sea of people. And it's not intimidating. It's just humbling.
Oh, man. It's
like,
fun. Yeah, I was talking to a guy last night when we went to dinner. And, we're talking to one of the other manufacturers. And, I was telling him that when I got Perfectionist, I was 22, and that was back in 1999. And nobody would give us a chance on any brands, because all the, big stores, they had everything locked up and all this stuff. And so I tried for years and years and years. Nobody would give me a shot. I had to go through distribution and all kind of stuff. Frustrating, can't get nothing. So anytime I get any kind of brand, we'd have a lot of width, but we had no depth, because I was like, I need another brand. Anyway, so 2010, when we won Retailer of the Year the first time, nobody knew who Perfectionist was. I mean, anybody in the Remote Start community knew us because, CompuStar and all this stuff. And we do, pretty good numbers with Remote Start. But, after we won the Retailer of the Year, it like legitimized us as a player in the industry. And then finally manufacturers were like, wow, okay, maybe these guys do know something. And then the brand started talking to me. And then I was a little bougie, I was like, oh, you remember when I kept filling out applications and you kept turning me down? Nah, I don't want you to, I want to go with this guy though, because he gave me a chance, so.
Right. Yeah.
But no, I think that was, so I think for you too, it was it just, the first time you get to do it at the stage, you see the steps, you're like, oh God, like you're going to pass out. And, but it was, every time one of my staff won an award, and my daughter, she won the first Sales Pro as a woman, which was amazing.
Yep.
It's like all I want from my staff is for them to feel that moment, walking across the stage. And then the people that kind of discount it, or the people, I don't care, they don't get it, man. It's like, it's so amazing. And like, I still remember, seeing, Perfection show up on the screen in 2010. And dude, we were at the back of the room. Like, we had the last table in the place. It was me, my sister, my brother-in-law, a couple CompuStar guys. Like, that was the first year CompuStar won, I think, as well. And then like Brian Schmidt and Michelle was sitting with us. And it was just like, we were just all at the back. Like, no one knew none of us, and then boom, Perfectionist. It's like, wow, it's pretty insane,
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And what I really appreciate, not only from you, but some of the more recent winners of the Retail of the Year or any awards, is that it doesn't stop them. They continue to improve, meaning you came back a few years later and competed again because you felt you would continue to grow and had reached a new height in your business, competed again and won a second time. And we've seen other retailers recently who are doing that. They've participated, they've won, but they keep on improving. How can I get better?
Yeah.
What can I do to get better? And they learn, and I'm sure you can speak to this, as you went through the process where you're doing the videoing and you're looking at your shop, you're seeing the things, oh, wow, I need to improve that. That needs to change. I can change this.
Yeah. You know what I think? I think that there's a certain point where you kind of get in your bubble as an entrepreneur, and as a business owner or whatever. And, you don't have any reference of if you're doing good or not, right? You're just kind of like doing your thing. And, say you're not $1 million store yet, or you're a multi-million-dollar store, you still don't have any idea. You're paying your bills, you got some money left over, you can buy some stuff, but you just don't know, right? Because everybody's number is different. So I feel like with Retailer of the Year, or and I feel like Sales Pro types of all these type of different awards is interesting because now you kind of are really digging into the business, and you start looking at this and from winning Retailer the first time to the second time, man, we literally reinvented ourselves. And that's the thing. If you came into my shop the first time we won, and then you came in 15, we look completely different. Now you come in again, we're completely different again. And I feel like it's just the natural thing of an entrepreneur is to constantly push themselves personally, which elevates everyone,
Right.
So the better I can get the team, the better I can get the shop, the better we can get the processes, then all of a sudden, you're at this level, you're doing well, you got things happening, but your staff is with you. They're buying property, they're thinking investing, they're thinking this and that, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all for profit. Where there's no nonprofit 12-volt shops, So we have to think outside of that. But the better that we get, the better our team gets, and then everybody's eating at the same table, and that's what I love.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So my question is, now that you've redone your shop again, is this 3-peat?
It's funny. I was actually talking to Richard about that. I was like, I haven't done it in a long time. I hadn't even competed because I felt like I want to try to, live in a space of gratitude, and I know it's funny because I ran in 2013 and I got disqualified. I didn't know till the night of the awards because I didn't do the online 3 questions online. And I killed it, man. I'm telling you, our presentation was money. Everything was great. But, we got humbled, and it's good. I was like, okay. And I had to go back to my team with my tail between my legs. Like, all right, guys, I forgot one part.
Yeah.
And
but you owned that.
I owned it 100%. I was very upset with myself, but it's okay, So, I have been thinking about it. Like, my guy Rob won Sales Pro of the Year last year, and so proud. And then I actually had my other girl who's working for me, Annalisa. She was up for Rookie of the Year, so she was top 3 or whatever.
Top 5.
Top 5.
Top 5.
And so I felt like, man, I miss competing. And it's funny today at the booth. We were talking about a couple things with people, and I always say a true champion invites competition. And I feel like perfectionists, man, we can hang, I feel like we're in the top 5% of the industry, efficiency wise. I mean, last year, I got 3.5 guys in the bay, right? And we did like 4,000 or more starts. I don't know many shops that can do that, and I mean, they're solid installs, we're the home of CompuStar. So that's something we take a lot of pride in, so, then I look at my showroom, I look at our processes, I look at my Google reviews, I look at this, all these things. I'm like, man, I'm going to compete again, so I'm on the fence. I definitely, You know, I think if we did it and we won, man, you know, I think we'd be the first 3-time, which would be pretty crazy. But I don't know, man. Again, living in gratitude, there's so many amazing shops, and I want them to come out. I want them to compete because they should, you know. And there's a lot of guys that just they doubt themselves or they don't have the time, but I think it's so worth it, you know. So.
Okay, I got one last thing, and Richard may have something for you as well. But my last thing on that note, so my challenge to you is jump in, but at the same time, pick 3 shops that you know and challenge them.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean,
because the more we challenge people to do it, the more we're going to get participating. You know, and the one thing that I remember talking to Chris about last week when we talked with Chris, you know, it means more when we're not picking 50 of 55. When you're one of 50 of almost 100 or almost 80 that through their name, that means more.
Absolutely.
Because there are people who did not get to participate because they missed the mark a little bit. And to me, those guys that missed it should be trying harder.
Yeah, they should be mad at themselves and
right.
It's like, okay, I'm not doing that again. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Don't do that again. So my challenge to you is
okay. Official.
Right?
Official. Then
officially.
I'm gonna go to my room tonight and nominate myself, and so I'm gonna nominate a couple shops on the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I'm ready for it. I mean, my shop, like every day, we're retailer of the year. I don't care what day of the week you come in my shop, man. We're on point. You know?
Well, that's a great way to live because that continues on throughout the process. Yeah. So yeah, that's really awesome.
And even if John's thrown his hat in the ring for perfectionist, you should still get involved as a retailer out there. You will learn. So everything I hear from every retailer that I've ever spoken to that's participated in this award, Brian, you've brought it up on other podcasts, is that they always learn things about their shop. They learn things about themselves. They learn things about their employees.
Yeah.
And it's never a negative experience. It's always something positive comes out of it. So no matter where you are, take that step of faith, get involved. Get your name out there, your shop out there. It's going to have positive feedback. Like you said, it opened the door for manufacturers that you had been trying to knock the door down to get to their product. And they wouldn't give you the time of day
for years.
But then you won. And all of a sudden you were on the map and they wanted to do business with you. And so,
you know, I want to add to what you just said too, is going through that process, you know, you'll start like when you do your video for your shop, you know, one of my mentors, Marcel, you know, one of the best minds I think around, you know, one thing he always talked about was the camera test. You know, you go stand in the front of your showroom, get your phone out, boom, 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 take pictures and put it on the biggest screen you can find. And then you see what your customers see. And man, you know, you're doing your video for retailer of the year or whatever. And you're like, man, we need to repaint this wall, or we need to move that garbage can out the way, or that battery rack, or, you know, why is that? There are holes on the display, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, you'll definitely get better out of competing. 100%.
Yeah, I think no matter who you are and what award you compete for, you're going to grow no matter what. And that's what all of this is about, is growing. And whether you're growing as a shop and an owner, because you see what other people see, and now it's like you said, you have to look at all of these things that your business operates under, you know. So now whether you're an owner, as a shop, as a team, a installer, a sales pro, a rookie, you know, a vendor, it doesn't matter, you know. I know we brought the award a couple of years ago for vendor tech support, and the first year I didn't do it. And I can tell you several guys were like, why didn't you? So last year I did. I made a silly little video with a silly entrance. I remember getting the text from him going, oh my God, that was funny. So here I am sitting here. I literally was laying in bed Wednesday morning at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I started having this idea for the video for this year. So I can't wait to start making it. I have to make it in pieces and then clip it all together, but it has to start here, because there's pieces I need from here to make it work.
Right.
So it's going to be fun. And it's the same thing. Anybody, I challenge anybody that's in vendor tech support, throw your name in the hat.
There you go.
If you're a retailer, if you're an installer, you know, and we have blind nominations, which is great, because as manufacturers like you and I, traveling, we see shops that other people don't see.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and we meet people that other people don't necessarily meet, that nobody knows who they are.
Yeah.
throw their name in the hat.
Yeah, I think with that, and then I know we're almost done, but the thing is, life's short, right? And a lot of us are getting older, and like myself, I had a heart failure situation when I was 40, and it changes perspective on things, And so there's so many people that just don't do something.
Yeah.
And man, we can be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So I
Absolutely.
feel like, like I said, I've been in this 33 years. So, 3/4 of my life I've been in this.
Mhm.
And I feel like, man, why not? Why not compete? Why not do it? It's like,
What's the worst that happens if you
Yeah.
compete and don't win?
well, it's like MECP, right? MECP is literally our only certificate type of thing. It's like the mechanic award, right, for us. So it's kind of like, why are you not MECP certified? It
Yeah.
just makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a retailer, you got investment, you got time, you got love, passion. Okay, get in the game and compete. Definitely. So.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, John, I really want to thank you for sitting down with us.
Yes.
We got to
Thanks,
kind of limit our time with each
Sure.
one of you guys, but I really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing it, and we're going to be doing more of these throughout the season.
Mhm.
So I hope we can get you back on later in the year, or, in the season, because I want to be able to talk about, as we go through this, like where you should be, like once the top 50 is announced, what do you do next?
Oh, sure,
Things like
definitely.
that. So we're going to have different people on, but again, we definitely want to talk with everybody, and some of them, it will be that process,
Mhm.
so.
No, I love to be accessible for anybody in the industry, and I feel like I'm teaching a class on Sunday that's going to be talking about different parts of the business, different than what most guys talk about business wise, but some things we need in our own mindset to be to this next level. And so I'm always accessible. I definitely want to help anybody, and then vote for a perfectionist for 3 times. No, just kidding. No, I'm not.
My Venmo is
20s for everybody. No, it's okay. All right. I appreciate you guys.
John,
All right,
thank you
thanks
so
again,
much.
John.
We appreciate
Appreciate
it.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. So that was John Schwartz from Perfectionist Auto Sound and Security. And he's a multi-business owner. But next we've got our current installer of the year.
Let's welcome the one,
Why, thank you
the
very much.
only Brian Mitchell.
Oh, I got to put on headphones.
Yes, please.
Hello, Meow.
Brian, thank you for taking the time. I know it's late, and I appreciate it.
Late? That's not late.
Well,
This is about
I
the
don't
time
know.
I start working.
This is second shift for
Yeah,
you, right?
yeah, exactly.
So that's got to be an interesting thing for you as well, because you work 2 jobs
Yes,
full time.
full time. Yep.
So the one thing I want to say, I saw your video from last year.
Yep.
And then I saw your video this year.
Yep.
Night and day difference. And this is the one thing that I will say for the guys, you were talking about people competing and wanting to compete or afraid to compete, or I didn't win last year, I'm not going to do it again.
Yep.
I will say this, Brian Mitchell is by far the Class A example of I learned from my mistake.
I make plenty of them.
Right? We all do.
do.
But you took what happened or what you didn't do right in one year's video, and it was a 180 flip.
Yeah.
I remember watching that video before the awards, just going, he's got it. He did it. He did it. Just every little dot was touched, and it made a huge difference. I mean, obviously it made a huge difference.
Mhm.
I've done so many videos trying to do installer of the year, retailer of the year, whatever, and never hit every single dot.
Well, I got to
Yeah.
say, I had a lot of people that gave me some guidance.
Sure.
Dean and Fernando, 5-star, even though we were competing against each other, the whole time you should do this in the video, and you should do that. Kingpin,
Jason.
him a little bit, as far as some certain things of what I should do.
Yep.
And then I just went and did it. I bared everything out. Not all the questions were what you would expect as you watched it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did, tried to say, this is what I did wrong. This is what I learned from last year. And I've said that a whole bunch of times, that I've done videos, we were in the same thing in 2012. So it goes back 10 years, which most of the winners competed for a long time before they won. And I think that I learned something from every time that I made a video. And every time I thought, oh man, I got a great shot, and crash and burn.
Which many have done.
Yes,
So.
yes. And then that was for my dad. Maybe that was what it was that made the difference. My dad passed away, and that pushed me to do more. When he was alive, he pushed me to do the video again. But it's just never give up.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And in business, you can't give up.
Right.
Is the guy who doesn't win is for sure the guy that gave up. Everybody else still has a chance, but as soon as you give up, then
you can never win, right?
Yeah. Right.
If you don't play, you can't win.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, Richard, go ahead.
I mean, I was going to ask you to mention about your dad and how you had considered not participating this year. You had gone year after year after year. So first of all, for anyone who's thinking of participating in any category, whether it's Installer of the Year, Sales Pro, whatever it is, don't go in with the expectation that you're going to win first year out. It's happened, but it's
10th year out.
Yeah, or 10th year out. It's a very unusual thing, but the fact is that you continued each year to participate. And then you just mentioned it, that you reached out to people.
Yep.
And what I love about our industry is even when you're competing against people in the same category, they're willing to help and share guidance, which is not something you find when people are involved in competition. They don't want to help the competition. And that's something that is wonderful about our industry, that people do, is just, what that help that you took, how did you turn it into what you turned it into in that video and in that presentation? Like what was
talent.
it? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I agree with you because you're very
anything
talented.
Else,
Talent.
Pure talent. For me, when I was doing the video, again, I do have to say this again, Dean and Fernando, I bought cameras based on their recommendations. I bought video editing software after their recommendations. I don't think I would have had a chance of winning if it wasn't for Dean and Fernando. Yeah.
Wow.
Dean especially. I talked to Dean a lot. Great friends.
Sure.
So I don't know what else to say other than that's where most of that came from.
I guess it leads into the fact that you're participating in the process. You've learned how to do things you didn't know how to do before.
Correct.
That don't necessarily have anything to do with install. You've learned a new technology, what cameras to use, videos, and
well,
so it's like you getting to learn some different things.
Right, but I disagree that it's not part of install. How we document
our
installs,
true. Yeah.
and how we market that.
This is true.
Is totally related to that. And if you look at most of the guys who won, not all of them, but most of the guys that won, they've become better business people because they've been able to market themselves and showcase their work. So I believe personally that's directly involved in our business, and not enough people do it to be able to market it to their customers. And their customers might not be people in their town, might be people 2 towns over or 2 states over.
Yeah.
So there's usually no lack of work for high-end installs, high-end installers. Maybe they can't get it done or whatever, but there's not usually a lack of work. So it's just that they have to know that you're able to do it. And so I think that's everything that we do in the videos and in the competing for whatever award it is. And this isn't just Installer of the Year. store of the year, multi-store of the year. All of those things go back to, our business. So if we can market that using the videos and learn how to take better pictures or how to talk on camera and be, lively, things like that, those things are definitely going to, help your business.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think the way you say that, like, when we were doing this 10 years ago, social media didn't have the access that it has now. So video has become, over the years, become very important. I mean, we see people, there are apps completely dedicated to just watching a 2 or 3 minute video sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And it's been said a couple of times, Ada says this a lot. Anything you put in your retailer of the year video, outside of, when they're asking all that stuff, but the video side of it, right? The showing your business side, that should basically be a commercial for your store.
correct. You should be able to put it directly
Right.
on
If
there.
you're not willing to make that video and put it out on social media as a quote unquote commercial, then you're not selling your store the right way. I think the same thing applies to an installer, to a salesperson that has to make a video. You have to sell yourself.
For sure.
Right. So all of that goes back to, like you said, learning those skills. It's not something you necessarily have to have, but if you don't learn them nowadays, it's a huge deficit in the market.
For sure, every market. It's not even just car audio related.
Right.
It is the broader business world.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want a better paying job, whether it be in car audio or anything, you have to market yourself, and you have to have confidence in what you're saying and how it's presented.
Yeah.
So, I think that all of those things go together, no matter whether you're going to stay in this industry or go into another industry. Building a brand of yourself, which we've years have talked about that. Brands of products that you sell in the store come and go sometimes, but you're the constant.
Right.
So you're building that brand.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that you can get partners that will go along with you for the ride and be good partners, but you're the brand.
Right.
So when I make a video, and I make some stupid videos, we've all seen some of my fun videos. I like to make fun of the world around me. I like to dress up in costumes every once in a while, just because people remember that. So when I do a class, I almost always wear a costume for one class.
Right.
And people remember what you say because they remember the stupid thing that you did. Not necessarily stupid as in dumb, but just stupid,
silly,
funny,
the silly, stupid,
correct.
silly stuff.
Yeah.
Sticks in people's heads, right?
Right.
How many music videos have we seen where silly stuff was done?
Correct.
Right. And or TV shows or anything, and those are what stand out to us all the time.
Now there's that line.
Oh well, yeah.
There's that line, I usually cross it.
Here's the line.
You jump
I
over
step
it.
over.
Here's the line. Here's Brian landing on it over here.
But the next thing that goes along with that is being real.
Yeah.
I think that I really try when I make a video to get across what I'm really like. So most people watch it and then they talk to me and go, "Oh, you're just like that. You're just as stupid as in person as you on video." But being honest and open and not trying so hard when you're making the video to be something you're not. If you're an installer and you're a little shy, well, that's going to come across. I've looked at other installers' videos and given them some pointers on what I thought, good or bad.
Right.
And it's just be who you are. And that's going to come across. If you're a good person, it's probably going to go across. Most people that are competing are really great people.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of assholes. There are some.
It happens.
Yeah,
It happens.
But most people that are trying to get to that level are genuinely nice people. And if you just say, "This is what I do, and this is how I do it," you got a lot better chance than trying to make things up of things that you don't really
exaggerate the
exaggerate. Yeah.
exaggerate the truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got anything else?
Well, I would just like to say that after Brian won his award, one of the first things he said to me and to Chris was committing that he wanted to be at all 4 Knowledge Fest shows, whether Arc Audio was going to be there or not.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to share his knowledge
Right.
on specific topics with other people in
Mhm.
the industry. And he's not the first to do that, but his commitment, the fact that that was one of the first things he said to us, is that he wanted to participate. And I'm really excited that, he's been at all 4 shows and he's done a fantastic job. We've gotten, obviously rave reviews from his attendees, but almost every person that is teaching at this event has participated in the industry awards, has won. Our next guest is an award winner.
Mm-hmm.
Our previous guest, multi award winner. He's John speaking at this event, as he mentioned. Brian speaking at this event. Our next guest is speaking at the event. It's an opportunity when you do achieve that win, when you do achieve that recognition. Giving back to the industry is one of the things that I really appreciate most about the guys that are participating and winning these days.
Yeah,
I'm always honored to be up on the stage or even podcast. I mean, to be with John's such an awesome guy, and again, Dean's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome guys.
Thank you.
Not as much as they are.
Not as much, but yeah, just a little lower, right
just a
here.
little lower. So it's an honor to me to even be in the same spot as any of them, and you guys as well. And then I say that so many times in my life because I've been very fortunate that I've been able to do a lot of cool things, and most of it's just because I'm willing to go out and do it.
Yeah.
He's won a couple of sound competitions or something. I heard.
What did he win? Like
some triple crown, like a horse race or something.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
He's won it a couple times.
Is it that hobby horse thing that they're doing now? Is that what it was?
That's
your new one. Oh, okay. That's the next evolution.
He's got like more rings than Tom Brady, I heard, which I thought was impossible, but.
Well, Giselle just called.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Giselle and J-Lo are calling.
Yeah.
Well, I told J-Lo it's not gonna work out. But Giselle, call me. I know she's watching.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
She stalks me occasionally.
With what you said, Richard, that's something that really hits home when you see the people, not just the winners, but the people that participate, especially into the top 12 at that high level of top 12, top 5, whatever the case may be, that they're still, they take that accomplishment and they use it to benefit the industry.
Yep.
We've seen many times over the years, and we're never going to name names, but we've seen it happen where somebody wins an award and they disappear.
It happens.
And maybe that's just them not understanding.
I think more so when that happens, it's sometimes, not always, but sometimes it is circumstances.
Sure.
The circumstances change.
Yeah.
And again, I always like to think the best of people.
Yep.
So
Sure.
I always look at that because there are people that don't have the means necessarily, and they market themselves really good up to that point, and then something happens, and
Mm-hmm. I was not being critical of those who had.
Oh,
I
no.
was just pointing out the fact.
No, I call them all the time and go, you know what I'm doing?
I just wanted to point out the commitment you're making, but I'm just thinking of this show and how many winners. We've got Justin Cush and Chris Pate and Phil Cantu. Justin Cush and Chris have won awards, and Phil made a top 12.
And going again,
and he's going to be going again, this year, and throwing his hat in the ring, I should say, and so it's just great to kind of see those people that have competed, even after they won, they've continued to be involved and kind of help the next group of people become, successful in business, as they've been able to do.
Right.
And it's just great to see that. And I just wanted to call you out because, you that was one of the first things you came up and said to Chris and I just thought that was really amazing, with the emotion of that night, knowing, what had gone on, the years you competed, the passing of your dad and everything. And, for you to kind of be that one of the first things that you say to us is it hit home pretty hard for me. And I was just amazed, and I wanted to make sure people were aware of that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Brian, thank you so much.
You're welcome. The next guy, I'm not sure if he's ever done a podcast or anything. So
Yeah.
Some people might recognize him. I don't know. He's got a small show or something.
Or 12 or something. But thank you again. And like Richard said, thank you for committing the time outside of just being an award competitor to share and, getting to see what you do at the shows, being at the shows with you, and the respect that you've garnered from people, not just for what you're able to do in a car with an equalizer, but the fact that you share. That's huge. And that's for all of our guests. That's huge. You know what I mean?
I wonder if we should be thanking Chewy and Princess for letting him come out to the shows.
Probably.
They keep me going.
Yeah.
One way or another.
Well, Brian, thank you so much.
Thanks again, Brian.
And
great to have you.
Look forward to seeing you in Vegas. All right. Man, these are so fun.
It is. It's been awesome.
I dig this.
I might have to push Elias aside for another one of these.
Hey, I got some other opportunities. We could talk about that.
Okay. The man, the myth, the legend.
The Fernando.
Right?
I was going to say in his own mind, but okay, that works too.
Yeah, definitely in my own mind.
So if you guys can hear and recognize the voice, our last guest is Dean Bayette, certainly not the least.
Yep.
But another current sitting winner from the industry awards of 2023.
I feel like the odd man out. We got a trusted tech, and then just some guy.
But you're Richard.
Well,
you're the Richard.
I was gonna say.
Right.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, yeah, but the man behind the curtain never gets the pat on the back that he deserves, right?
This is true.
You're just moving and shaking, and you get blamed for everything.
Oh, of course.
You're only as good as your last failure.
So with that, I want to say something real quick. To you.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put you over here on the picture.
Oh boy.
So I want to say this to you. For those of you guys that don't know, Richard is the one that kind of directs our committee for the industry awards, which Dean and I and others are all a member of. But thank you for, I'm sure somebody said here, you have to do this, but you put the effort in, and no matter how trying any of us get with, we think this or whatever the case may be, you push forward to make this better with us.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. And I think, all the members, the people that are taking time to be part of the committee, we do get passionate on those calls.
Never.
Because we do all really want this industry awards process and the whole experience to be the best it can possibly be.
Yeah.
And Dean and you and others have been a big part of that. After last year's event, we, got people coming up to us saying this is one of the best award events I've ever been to. It was great. And, just the energy in the room was just fantastic.
Personally, I had a wonderful time.
Yeah. I can't imagine why. I mean, you were taking pictures and you weren't running around the hall.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden your name got called.
Because, that was the award that when I started, this, and Ada was like, bro, you got to run. And I was like, I don't want to. And he's like, no, you got to. And I was like, I really don't want to. He goes, dude, the Trusted Tech is your award.
Yeah.
And so, like the naive person I am, I'm not. He convinced me that, you got to do this. And so I was like, all right, I'll do it. And, went for it and, got close. And I was like, all right, this was fun. It was definitely a learning experience.
And, you know, there again, making that first video is always like, we shot for the moon, you know, and I think we made it to the moon and then we fell off, you know, it was like, and that was one of the things that, like, you know, you're talking about committees and stuff like that, was I know what I went through, and that was a struggle. And, you know, I think we've done a really good job of learning from all of our, you know, because like when you went, it was like, hey, you're the guy, you know?
Yeah, when I went, it was throw your name in the hat.
Yeah.
And then the industry voted.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then
Yeah.
you waited until the awards. And then they changed it. And you guys had a different process.
Yeah, we had a whole different process that was like so much. And the instructions were just really basic. It's like, you need to make a video. What does it got to be about? Maybe this stuff. And you're like, oh, okay.
Sprinkle in a little of this.
Yeah, you know,
sprinkle in a little of that.
You know, and it was like the first year we ran, we did Trusted Tech and Installer of the Year. And it, like, both of those videos, it was almost like making a freaking James Cameron movie. I mean, they were like an hour and 40 minutes long. It was like so much not necessary for what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it made for great content. Yeah. But, you know, it was like, I just didn't have a clue. And the instructions just weren't very good. So, you know, when you guys decided like, hey, we need to spruce this up a bit, it was like, yeah, sure, I'm down, because I don't want anyone to have to go through that. That was torture.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I was always an advocate of your way of doing it, like how you won, because I thought that made the most sense. Because if the industry is telling you, hey, this is the guy, then there should be no question past that. There shouldn't be another step. It's like, no, everyone has said he's the trusted tech. Therefore, let's go forth and let that decision be made. And so we fought to get that back.
Yeah.
Not real hard. I mean, everyone's like, oh, wait, we don't have to watch another
We don't have to do
5
2 videos.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
The judges were all in on that.
Yeah, we're like, that sounds so awesome.
One,
I judged the last videos submission. So I judged the last year where they had to enter a video submission. And I was like, oh my God, you know, which was a learning experience, because I remember what I had made. And I was like, oh my God, like so far from the mark, far from the mark. And even these guys, I was like, you guys didn't pay attention to anything anybody ever said. And I was like, wait a minute, no one ever said anything. So it was, I was like, okay, never mind. I won't be so harsh. Let's go back and have some fun with it. So and that was the year Adam Devine won. And so that was a lot of fun. And so we changed a bunch of the rules and we rewrote a lot of stuff. And I stepped away from installer because I was like, at some point I'm going to have to go back to this, because I didn't get my piece of glass. And so I concentrated and worked with you on dealer, and I let you and everyone else do installer, because I didn't want to have that like
conflict.
Yeah. I was like, no, I know I'm going back to this. So, you know, last year I was like, all right, you guys spent all that time redoing it. I'm going to run, and if I can't figure it out, no one's going to be able to figure it out, because like I should know how to do this. And so that was a lot of fun. And we came up with a video idea, and that was the thing. We had to come up with a video idea, because that's the other thing too. Now as Trusted Tech, you get one shot.
Yep,
that's it. So you got to make that first video count.
Yeah.
And so it can't just be so I'm high, and I would like to. You can't do that video. You actually have to make a video that is compelling, get your point across, and answers the questions. So that was we had to sit down and think about that for a while. I always say we, because I have Fernando, so I always bring him in, and it's a great, you know, we bounce ideas off each other. And if you're going to do something like this, it's always nice to have somebody that can help you, because though we're masters of our craft. Video is a whole nother world.
Yeah, it is.
So, you know,
I'm learning the hard way.
No, you're not. No, not at all.
No, not at all. You know,
and I took a lot of effort. I had Fernando. We bounced ideas off each other. Once we came up with ideas, I wrote it down and I gave it to the girls. And I was like, hey guys, read this, see if this makes any sense at all. And they went back at it, and they were like, no, change this, do that. And I was like, okay, because they were like, no, you need to do this. And I was like, really? And I was, yeah. And I was like, oh, if you say so. And I'm going, I'm not going to do that. Yes, you are. All right, fine. So,
I mean, I don't want to get too far into the process, but just to, you know, because Dean kind of brought it up a little bit. is we definitely try to simplify the process.
Oh yeah.
And in that process, you know, what he was referring to, where you only kind of have that one face, the video that you submit to make top 50 installer of the year, it's those people that make top 50
Yes.
Right.
where Trusted Tech is now voted on by the industry and selected.
Yeah.
So you have basically 10 minutes to put your best foot forward. And what I will say again, keeping it short, is we have instructions on the website, meindustry.awards.com.
Yeah.
Follow the instructions, make it easy for the judges.
In order.
Well,
Make-
you know, it's funny. So Sunday here at Dallas, we're doing our social media
Yep,
class, and I was like, you know what, this is the prime time. I've always wanted to do this, so we're going to condense our class, and then at the end, we're going to add in a section that is just on. So anybody that comes or is here and wants to come, that Sunday 9 o'clock class is we're adding in a whole industry awards section to it to go over. I mean, who better to do it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I do know how to make a couple videos, but I've helped other people. You know, when Marty won, he's like, "Could you watch my video?" And I was like, "Of course I can watch your video." And I'm as everybody knows, I'm really like, "No, that's wrong. This is right. No, do that. Okay, get rid of this. Stop doing." And he went back and edited, and then he won. Then he won, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
I'm pretty good at this.
I was like, "Damn it, man! What the heck?" Oh wait, I wasn't running. It was okay. But yeah. But no, so we added that in. So we're gonna try to help in any way we can and try to streamline it. But yeah, there are some basic principles that do apply, and that is, if there's a question, you have to answer it, and if it's asked before another question, you have to answer it in the order that it was asked. And I hate to say this, but if there's something somebody doesn't understand, that's why you call Richard. You know, send him an email, reach out to him, and be like, "Hey, could you expand upon this?" Because there are some things, like, we can't get it right every time, and there are some things that you might read and go, "I really don't get what they're asking here." And if you don't, well, yeah, just make the call. You know, and
Absolutely.
and because as a judge in the past, there's only so much. We have the same criteria. We have to look at it and we have to go, okay, this was a question asked. It wasn't this question, or this question. It was this question. And so, you know, did you answer that question, or did you kind of answer that question but create a different question and answer that? And then we got to go, yeah, you missed it. And nobody wants to do that, because it's like, it's awesome. It's like, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
You know,
and the difference between, you know, making that top 50 when the judge is looking at that initial award is, you know, what's your favorite color? Red. And then there's the other person who says, red's my favorite color, and it's because blah, 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 blah. And they tell you a little story. They give you a little bit of insight into why red is their favorite color. They don't just tell you. And those people that give you more detail, give you more of a story, are generally going to do better than those that just say, "Hi, I'm Richard Bassler. I'm this and this."
Yeah.
Okay, I answered the question.
Oh no, there were some really bad ones, man. There were some really bad ones.
So my comment on that is from looking back at my videos after having got to participate in judging and building the evolution of what the awards are becoming.
Yep.
And I went back and looked at a couple of my videos, and I went, now I know.
I don't have that kind of time in my life. I could not go back and rewatch those.
Well, but
mine were way too long.
Mine weren't. But I looked at it and went, okay, now I get it. If you give a basic answer, you're going to get a basic score.
Yeah. You know, well, I mean, okay, to piggyback off that, when I made the top 12 video, because there again, last year made the top 12, and I've made them before, and I was like, okay, so, and I knew this was going to be the last time. I was like, all right, I'm putting in all chips.
You're pushing all the chips in the middle of the table.
And, you know, there again, sat down, Fernando and I, you know, storyboarded it, so to speak. And, you know, we came up with a look. We came up with a feel. We came up with, how is this going to be shot? What kind of lighting are we going to have? The angles, the things we're going to talk about. And, you know, in the emotion. Because the emotion at a top 12 video is really what sells. I mean, it really does. You have to convey the feelings that you have for it. Because if you look at the winners, okay, and there's always a good story there. Okay. And you can pick them out. You're like, yeah, like Brian, we knew Brian was going to win. I knew Brian was going to win. I was like, Brian, you're going to win. He's like, I'm not going to win. I was like, dude, you're totally going to win. He's, no, you're going to beat me. I was like, okay, I'm not going to beat you. And I know you think I am, but I know I'm not. Wink, wink, haha. And he's like, no. And I was like, no, you put out a good product, you know? And not that my product wasn't as good, but his story had more to it. And I knew I was going up against that. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I really have to, you know, and it was to the point where I like shot my video at like 1 a.m. I was tired. And I was doing that because part of it was showing the emotion of just like how much of a burden and how not a bad burden, but just like how important it was to get this done and how much effort you put into it. Mm-hmm. And just the stress that like, you know, because I always hear guys go, dude, it was so stressful. And it's like, it is, but self exploration often is, mm-hmm. you know, and to me, I always enjoyed it because I'd look back on the year and I'd be like, holy crap, like I did all that, you know, and it's like, you know, because everyone goes, oh, it's a fab thing. It's like, no, it's not a fab thing. You know, yes, there's a huge amount of criteria involved. Like you got to fab, you got to know how to wire, you got to know how to use DSP, you got to know how to talk to a customer, how to relate to people. And then you also have to be a human, you know, and a lot of that sometimes gets lost. And it's like, they're going, you know, like Sony said it best last year when he was like, oh, you know, the guy came up to him and said it's a popularity contest. And hell yeah, it's a popularity contest. Because that guy busted his ass so that everybody would know who he is, knew the work that he does. And yeah. So
work your ass.
Yeah, it's a work your ass off award is what it is.
Yep.
You know,
no, he's 100% right.
You know,
100%.
and when you make that video, you have to figure out a way to convey that, you know, and you know, I've heard people say, all you need is a phone and some headphones and you just talk. And it's like, yeah, you could do that. And that's about as basic as it gets. And, you know, you might make 49, you know, and that's as far as you'll go, you know, but if you want to go higher, like I think all of us aspire to do, you have to put the effort into it, you know, and you get the guy, you know, I'll get guys, oh, you going to enter? Oh, man, maybe not this year. What? Why not? Why not? What makes you think that those other 50 people are better than you? You know, and again, there's some insecurity that goes with it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, you know, when you're in your world, you're the biggest guy. You know, oh, I'm kicking everybody's ass. Okay, well, put it to the paper and be the biggest guy. You know, be the guy that's like, I'm going to show the world how good I am. Make it to the top 50. Make it to the top 12. If you don't make it the first year, make it the second year. Make it the third year. Yep. You know, we're all these type A super competitive, you know, people. And I often laugh because you know, all the businesses that have failed in the world, car stereo still exists. Yep. And it's because of the people that do it. Like we don't quit. Yep. You know, we adapt, we find a way, and we keep going. And this award will never change that. This award complements that. This award goes, hey, you think you're cool? You are cool. But get the piece of glass. You know, I have 2 of them, and they sit on my they sit up my entertainment center, and they light up, and I go, oh yeah, I busted my ass for those. Nobody touch them at all, ever.
If I see a fingerprint on this, you're out.
Yeah. Anybody knocks them off the shelf, they're dead. They're dead to me. You know, these are my babies. No, but then again, it also at a glance you go, God, you know how much work I had to do to get that. Yeah. But I'll do it again. Mm-hmm. I'll do it again in a heartbeat because like when he called my name, you know, I was for those of you who weren't there, I was taking the acceptance shots. So any picture that has some guy going like this and I was sitting there going and my knee hurt so bad because I'm like kneeling down on one knee and it's like, God, Chris, come on, let's move through this, you know. And I couldn't stand up because the camera guy was behind me, so I had, you know, and so he called my name and I just kind of sat there and I had at the time I was using a 300 millimeter lens, which, as you know, is not
it's a big boy.
It's a big boy. It's NFL. I brought the guns, and I just kind of sat there and I was like, wow, he said my name. I've really been looking forward to this for so long, and it was like, you got to get up. You got to get up and go, dude. You got to go, like, get up there. And I was like, Oh yeah. So I got up and I was like, what am I gonna do with my camera? And then John Catalano, your new guy, he's like, Dean, give me your camera. And I was like, oh yeah, here you go. And then I got up.
I think he knows how to use one.
Yeah, he does. He does. I let him hold a Canon, so we got to feel what real power was. It's so, I'm standing up there and I'm just like, years that I put into this, and I've gamed the thank you for nominating me. I'd like to thank the world, and crickets.
Folks, for the first time in my life, Dean was speechless.
I could not form a sentence. And then my phone rings. And I'm sitting there, I was like, my phone is ringing. And it's McNulty. Going, yeah, like, hey man, you're on stage. Like, and I just kind of looked at it and I just answered it and then I shut it off because like, oh yeah, I'm on stage. I have to say something. And those lights are so bright. They're so bright. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, I've been on a ton of stages. Mm-hmm. I've talked to thousands of people. I've done all these things. So it wasn't like I had stage fright. I was emotionally just like, this is the coolest thing ever. You know, this is what 30 years plus in this industry has finally rewarded me with. And it was like, damn, there was nothing like that feeling. I mean, I'm never going to do it again, but I that will never be forgotten. And that emotion that it brought was just.
But you got to experience
it. And I would not trade it for the world. It was the most amazing thing. Yeah. And like I sat there and I thought about it for the rest, at least until we got to the bar, even though I don't drink, I still, but it was like, damn, that was a crazy night. And I finally went back and watched it like 2 or 3 weeks later. Cause I was like, dude, I was so bad. I was just, and my daughter's like, no, you got to watch it. And I'm like, no, Haley, I'm not going to watch. And she's like, Dad, it's not that bad. Trust me. And I was like, so finally she played it for me. And I was like, oh, there's like, it was over like that. I was like, in my head, that went on for an hour.
Yeah.
It went on for an hour, right? And you're just like, yeah. And you're just like, and she's going, Dad, you're using those thinking words you're not supposed to use. And I was like, shut up. Shut up. You get up there and you're going to go, okay too. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about for you, Brian, but being in that room, you were there.
Yeah.
Every time, a winner was announced, the amount of applause and cheering and not to take away anything from any of the other people that won, but Brian and Dean had some of the loudest applause
it was
that I had seen. It was amazing. It really was.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier in the podcast, and you're talking about it, that feeling when you're standing on stage, right?
Yeah.
And similar kind of thing, Solomon called my name in 2015 and I was like, and the guy that I thought was going to win sitting right next to me is over there.
Yeah, bro.
Hit me on the shoulder like, dude.
Yeah.
And you got to click and you're like, oh, and then you walk up on the stage. This is no big deal. I grew up playing in bands and stuff. Being on stage doesn't mean anything.
Well, yeah, it's a whole different monster.
And then you're standing there.
Yeah.
And it's not the fact that there is a sea of people, it's the people in the sea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, they put you there.
They put you there. And these are people that that I grew up following or being inspired by through my career.
Yeah.
And now I'm up here.
Yeah.
Oh, because they wanted me there.
It's like no other. Yeah.
Right. There is no experience like it. And I will say to anyone who thinks that they're not worth it,
oh, they're wrong.
They're wrong.
Yeah.
They are absolutely wrong. And even again, like
or not worth their time. It is.
Oh, it's totally worth your time.
It's absolutely worth every minute or every second you're willing to commit to it.
Yep.
It's not even a matter if you're sitting there and go, I don't. It's like, okay, so you get the excuse like, oh, I don't deserve it. It's like, how do you know? What is your barometer to which to say that? Because if you're going like, I'm not as good as Tom Miller, well, guess what?